much earlier stream today. Let me put this up here. Put this on Twitter. Okay, 1 second here. Let me just pull up the chat. Okay, hello everyone. Okay. Okay,
So rude. Shit, dude!
hello everyone, how you guys doing? What's up everyone?
Dude, seriously?
So, thank you guys for being patient with me on that Brad Lore video, because you guys gave me, you know, an extra week to put up the Brad Lore video. I was able to relax more and fix my sleeping schedule. So, you know, that I got back under control now. Trio, can you send me an invite to your MC then? Can I join you pro later? Sure you can, George.
Oh no. Ah!
Dude, the Brad Lore video is well made. Thank you, man.
Not again. Okay. Hey, I sourced a new color of yarn.
Okay. I guess if I don't get an invite, then I guess I might sell my own or just help the next person. Are you afraid to go online? Not really, no. I play on console and I'm playing in a friend session, so there's really no issue. Punch Brad, yes or no? Yeah, well, Brad was a scumbag. What's your question? I'm not in the CEO or MC. Okay.
See you at the knitting circle.
I really like your playthrough and the cosplays. That's a lot. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Politics or talk?
Hey, Mr. Waifu, glad to hear that. Okay, then, okay, I guess I'm gonna, oh, there's a raid. Okay. Yeah, the alarm that I had set up earlier, that was actually that was my when I try to wake up normally, but I woke up like, you know, hours earlier. So, you know, I did get a bunch of sleep, and so, you know, my sleeping schedule is back under control. If you guys want to know how bad my sleeping schedule was before I got it back under control, when I was actually making the Brad Lore video, my sleeping schedule, you know what time I was going to bed? I was going to bed at 10 a.m. like every day. That's what time I was going to bed. And, yeah, I was waking up like, you know, 6 p.m. And so it wasn't good. And, you know, I got that back under control now at least. Okay. I bought the Saboteur on the 360 yesterday. Thank you, Eddie. And thank you, Matthew. Yeah, the Saboteur is a great game. I just wanted to play it on PC because I just wanted, I guess, the best experience that I could. But, you know, it's a great game. Hi, Pro, you gonna play GTA Chinatown Wars? Yes, I will play that in February, Matthew. It's gonna be right after Rising Sun.
Who gave you a license? Whatever.
Are you interested in a requested top 5? Sure. You guys can always give me ideas. I can try to make a video if you guys want me to. Let me
Busy.
my
Feeling
supplies
a little
here.
off? Okay, we'll need to pay, but
Have I ever watched the movie Drive? No, I haven't. Do you drink soda? No. I haven't drank soda in like 7 or 8 years. Okay. What's your question?
Hello, me old China plate.
What are my thoughts
I've got a minor major wardrobe
on
malfunction
YouTube
developing
current
out here on
YouTubers
the Costa
update that's
del
impacting creators?
Plata
Also, I
music.
love you. I'm from
Don't
India
ask for
in
details. It ain't
Kolkata.
pretty. We need some fresh merch flown over ASAP.
If you're talking about like the cursing changes, like I personally think it's stupid. I don't really, you know, curse in my videos, but I just think that it's dumb. But you guys want to know something? My Saboteur video, the ending, that one actually got age restricted. It got age restricted and it got demonetized for being not advertiser friendly. So I don't know why they did that with the Saboteur. There was only one part on it. I tried to dispute the age restriction, but YouTube upheld it. So that's No, I'm in a friend session. Oh, great, this. Best mission to start on a stream, right? Yeah, this.
Okay, we're attempting some discretion here and pretending we're the Postal Service. Got it? Okay, the product's loaded and ready for delivery.
My favorite GTA series protagonist, probably Nico in GTA 4. No, I haven't, Ryan. My favorite role in Reddit Online? My favorite role in Reddit Online? That's a good question. What would be my favorite role in that game? Probably, you know, might be a surprising one, but probably the collector, because I just like looking around for things. You can't join due to Rockstar servers. Oh, yeah, the servers on this game are terrible. Do I still have hope for Reddit Online or no? No, I don't. Have you seen Wallace and Gromit? It sounds extremely familiar. I think I've heard of that before, but I don't think I've seen it. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. Your Brad Lore video is awesome. Also, is there any way I can join you in the future? Well, to join me, you'd have to have me added, but it can be a bit hard to add me, though, because my friends list right now at the moment is full. I try to add everyone I can, but my friends list does get full really quickly. Professional, you are a great person. Well, thank you. Oh, are you a great person? Well, I mean, I guess that's just for others to decide. You know, I think if somebody, I don't think that, you know, somebody should call themselves like a, you know, a great person or even like a smart person. I think that's more something that other people would attribute to you, not yourself. Have you ever watched 1917, the World War I movie? No, I haven't, but I know the movie. Can I join for free, or do I have to become a Patreon? No. You don't have to pay me to join my sessions. No, you don't. That's just anybody can join my session that's on my friends list. So anybody who's on my friends list can join my session. Anyone. And I play in public sessions with people off stream too. So you know, don't feel like you have to pay me to play with me. You don't. But it's I guess it's limited to the people I can play with that are only added on my friends list. Oh, okay. Oh, a little accident there. Pro, you are my favorite YouTuber. Thank you. Wow, you can't even move the truck at this point. Here, I see. What is this NPC doing? I turned 25 today. Oh, happy birthday, Eddie. Thank you for the super chat. My favorite cell mission? It's a good question. What cell mission do I actually enjoy? Probably the acid lab cell where you have to like avoid the hidden cops. I like that one. Okay, Venge. If that WR guy joins back, I'll help him next because I told him I'd help him next. But if not, then I guess I'll help you next.
I gotta post this online. No fucking way.
Okay, there we go. Hey Pro, is YouTube your full-time job or do you have another job? YouTube is my main source of income, but I also make money from two other things. I make money from the stock market. You know, I don't do a lot, but a little bit here and there. And I own a rental property in real life as well. Would you clear your friend requests list so the friends would work? Well, I would just, I would have to delete people off of my friends list to, you know, make more space, but I typically don't delete people unless they do something bad. So if somebody does something bad, then I'll, you know, delete them, or if they've been offline for, like, you know, longer than a year. But typically I don't like deleting people. I actually feel kind of bad when I delete people. My favorite sport? I don't know if I really have one. I mean, maybe billiards, if that counts as a sport. It's more of a table sport, but... You're the best, and you're a great person, professional. Thank you, Matt. Thanks, man. Oh, and I'll read the other chats in just one moment here. Hang on. Wallace and Gromit is an inventor and his dog. Oh, okay, Matthew. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you, Alex. Hey, Pro, would you consider playing the old Medal of Honor Allied Assault on PC? Yes, I would be open to playing that, as well as European Assault and Frontline. Yes. Have you ever considered going to a fight gym? What, you mean like a boxing gym? No, not really. Go. I finished my post-op van in 10 minutes. That's actually a really good time for finishing a van. Do I use exploits in GTA Online? No. Bro, what is your IQ? I'm not sure. What's up, Mole? I don't want to come off as rude, but how old are you? Don't worry, that's not rude. I'm 28. Have I platinum GTA 4? Yes, I did. And I also have that award from Rockstar. I made a video on it. How come you're streaming in daytime instead of night? Because I fixed my sleeping schedule. Are you rich? No, I'm not rich. My favorite food and drinks? My favorite food is sushi. Favorite drinks? I don't know. I'd say maybe like, probably the Nesquik drinks. Have I played Hitman Freelancer yet? No, I haven't. I want to, though.
It's coming at you.
How does the new Hitman Freelancer work? Because I do want to make a video on that. Thanks for answering, no problem. Bro, would you mind if I joined a stream? That's fine, Krillin. Anyone can join me. I mean, we could do that. Thank you, Jimpa. You didn't have to, but thank you. Yeah, we could try to do Arena Wars later, I guess. It would help people out who need to unlock the taxi. Your lore video is brilliant. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jimpa. Where are you getting that money from? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. What role-playing elements do you want to see in GTA 6 Online? Anything in particular from Red Dead Online? What I'd like to see in GTA 6 Online is I'd like to see, like, and honestly, what I think, do you know what I think I think it's gonna be called GTA Online 2. That's probably what it's gonna be called. You know, GTA 6, free mode event. What I'll say about it is, what I want to see in the next GTA Online is I want to see more of a focus on just crime, like crime role-playing, and not like the grindy aspect. Like, I want to see like more like role-playing where you feel like a criminal in GTA 6 Online, not like you're just grinding, you know, crates or something like that. Like, you know, more on the criminal side of things. Thank you, Lee. Hey, Pro, been busy with things. Would be all right if I can join up on the stream. Hope you're doing all well. Yeah. Anybody has me added, you can join me on the stream. But thank you, JR, for that super chat. I played the Watch Dogs game. Yes, I did. I played Watch Dogs 1, and I played Watch Dogs Legion. I played through on them, and I gotta do Watch Dogs 2 again. Also, I want to play that. Have you heard the news, Pro? CJ from San Andreas is returning in GTA 6. Have you seen Spider-Man? No, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man movies, Matthew, but I'm gonna tell you right now that that's not true. That CJ is returning in GTA 6, that's not true. The GTA 6 is in the HD universe. So it's going to be in the same universe as GTA 4 and GTA 5. The 3D universe characters do not exist in the HD universe, so it'd be impossible for CJ to appear in GTA 6. This wouldn't happen. So just don't listen to that. Thank you, Zombie, for the super chat. I'm not gonna you know, comment specifically, but you know, it was really it was not a friendly, you know, not a friendly place to work at. Are there any bounties in Red Dead Online to get taken to Blackwater Jail? Seems like I get stuck dragging everyone to Valentine or Strawberry. Do you ever take bounties to Blackwater? Sometimes, yeah, I have sometimes. But yeah, you're right, not too much there. If you do ride near the town, I think it'll let you take them there. Oh, okay. I hope you're feeling better, Brandon. Trevor is much more likely to return in the next GTA game, but honestly, I don't want to see any of the protagonists return in the next GTA game. I don't mind if they bring back other characters, but I don't want to see any protagonists return. And the reason for that is because the protagonist, think about it, they brought back Johnny. What did they do to Johnny? They ruined him. So yeah, I don't want to see that personally. Oh, no, I haven't PC. Oh, hello, Ronnie. It was, you know, zombie. Hey, Pro, who was more evil? Dierker from Saboteur or Bohm from Sniper Elite 4 and Muller from Sniper Elite 5? All of them are really bad people. I don't know which one. Maybe it would be Bohm, because Bohm massacred those towns in Italy in Sniper Elite 4. But all of them are really bad. And Dierker was trying to make a nuclear weapon in Saboteur. That lore video was fire. Well, thank you, Trunks. Thanks, man. Thank you, Topo Gaming. Does the Series A take place before or during the story? It takes place before the story. Thank you, Swooshy, for the super chat. Okay, let's go to his next business here. What do I think of the Arditi? Thank you, Alex, for the super chat. Is that the? I just have to double. Let me just put this up here. Yes, just like I thought. Yeah, the Arditi, that was the name of they were the mountain troops, right? The Italian mountain troops. Aren't there? You play as them in Battlefield 1, I think, right? Oh, let me get off this here. Thank you, Alex, for the super chat. The thing about it is that Italy could have defeated Austria-Hungary probably a year earlier than they did in World War I if it wasn't for the Battle of Caporetto, where you had Luigi Cardona, who was the Italian general, and he really messed up. He was just a complete fool. He's one of the worst generals in history. Sub-professional, saw your documentary on Rockstar and forgot to mention another detail. That being that Rockstar is rich enough to deal with anything. Great video, by the way. Thank you. Which documentary did you see, Noxious? Because I kind of made a few documentary-like videos. The title, what was the title of it specifically? But yeah, like, you know, the thing about that is that, and this is what I don't understand about this personally, is like the people that are defending like Rockstar. It's like, you know, when the people that defend Rockstar, like, you know, they say, oh, you know, Rockstar needs those resources for GTA 6 and GTA Online. That's why they abandoned Red Dead Online Professional. You can't be pissed off at them. But the thing is, these people act like Rockstar is like a company that can't afford it. The thing is, here's what I'll say about it is, if Rockstar doesn't have the resources to develop Red Dead Online and GTA 6, do you know what I say to that? I say, get the resources. That's what I say about it. This is a billion-dollar company. This is a company that can afford it. So, you know, don't tell me that they, like, you know, they can't, like, you know, hire more people, like, you know, to run Red Dead Online and make updates on Red Dead Online. They just choose not to. That's the thing about it. But yeah, I agree with you there, Noxious Gaming. The lore video is great. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you, Matt. What I'm saying, Pro, is that there is a variant of CJ, not the same one from the 3D-verse. I mean, another universe. Have I seen Spider-Man 2 Doc Ock? Yeah, I've seen Spider-Man 2 a long time ago. I know, you know, Doc Ock and Spider-Man 2. I think he did appear in the new movie. But, yeah. I mean, I guess they could make an HD version of CJ, in like in in the next GTA game, but it wouldn't be the same person though. Will you do a walkthrough of GoldenEye 007? It was recently re-released for Xbox and Nintendo Switch. Maybe one day I could do that. I did a playthrough of From Russia with Love. Did you watch that? If you like James Bond, you'll like my playthrough from Russia with Love. I did it 2 years ago, Gina. I have a playlist of it. I did dress up for it too. But I'm gonna do a game that you might like a lot soon, Gina. Probably within a month or two. But there's a game that I'm gonna be playing on where I'm gonna be doing the Siphon Filter games. People know Siphon Filter, the original ones, and I would do a playthrough of those games. I think people like tactical special forces games. They'll like those. The lore video was awesome, Pro. Great work. Are you gonna buy review the 50 car garage when it's out? Yeah, I'll probably buy it, but I'm not big on cars in the in GTA, though, Bunny. Thank you for the super chat, though. Bro, why such an early stream? Because I fixed my sleeping schedule and I just wanted to start my stream a bit earlier today. There is also other people who can't watch me at certain times, so doing an early stream gives people the opportunity to watch me who haven't been able to watch me in some time. Will there be another in real life lore video like you did with the North Yankton? Yes, there will be. There's one neighborhood I was considering filming in New York that I'd like to do, and thank you for the super chat. What's the stupidest 3D era GTA theory for you? I can tell you what the stupidest HD I can tell you first off HD universe. In HD universe, the stupidest theory that I can tell you is like there's a bunch of them. There's one where people say that the hostage at the beginning, that woman that Brad throws to the ground, like people were saying that that's Amanda. No, that's not Amanda whatsoever. There's no proof of that being Amanda. It's like why would Amanda even be there? Like what's the purpose of it? That's stupid. But no, that hostage at the beginning is not Amanda. There's other people who say that like Brad is Tracy's dad. Like I'm not joking on this. Like there's like YouTubers who say that Brad is Tracy's dad. And I did like a I went on YouTube the other day, like when I was finishing up my lore video on Brad. I literally I was looking up like just Brad videos on like YouTube just to see how bad the Brad clickbait was, and the Brad clickbait is really, really bad. Like I've had some people tell me that my Brad video is like the only Brad video that's not clickbait, but it's like or Brad lore video that I should say that's not clickbait, but it's the Brad lore video is like Brad clickbait is really bad. Like people say Brad is Tracy's dad. There's other people who say that Brad is Lester. That's like, how does that even make sense? It's like stupid people. But those are like some of the dumb theories for the HD universe. There's also people that say that the security guard that's in the big one is like in the North. He was in North Yankton at the start. It's stupid. But as for 3D universe, like the stupidest theory for the 3D universe, I had to think about that one. Stupidest thing that people say about the 3D universe. The stupidest one. Yes, I'll tell you the stupidest one that I heard. Okay, and this is one that actually some people believe. The stupidest one that I actually heard is that Claude is Michael in GTA 5. That Claude was Michael when he was younger. That's the stupidest one that I've heard. First of all, they're in different universes. Claude is in the 3D universe, and Michael's in the HD universe. And Claude and Michael are nothing alike. So there's that's that. Yeah, that was the stupidest one. And also, Michael when he was Claude's age was robbing the Midwest. When he was Claude's age. So Claude is like in his mid-20s in GTA 3, and he was robbing Michael was robbing the Midwest at that same time. So the people who say that Claude is Michael is one of the stupidest things that I've heard. That's Hey, Pro, did you know there's a place in South Dakota called Yankton? It was a capital when North and South was Dakota territory, and it's my hometown. Yes, I know Yankton. That is in southern South Dakota, right? That's in the it's in the southern part of South Dakota, I think, right? Am I right on that? Now I think I know what the town that you're talking about. Thank you, Justin, for that super chat earlier. Keep up the great work, professional. Thank you, Bimal, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you, man. You're welcome, Pro. You helped me out so much. Well, thank you, Matt. Would I own Rockstar Games? No, I probably wouldn't want to own Rockstar Games even if I could, because I wouldn't want to deal with the stress of like making like a GTA game and all the people that spam you and are demanding updates on when the next GTA game. I just wouldn't want to deal with that personally. You know, it's funny that Trevor was given a plot armor from Dave's sniper round that is supposed to go through Brad and hit Trevor. I guess if that's the case, then the story of GTA wouldn't ever happen. The thing about that is that the sniper rifle that that Dave hits Brad with, I'm pretty sure that sniper rifle actually goes through multiple NPCs in GTA 5. We'd have to test that. But in real life, you know, if he had that exact same situation, the bullet would have gone through Brad and would have hit Trevor. So they both would have died. So there's this really stupid thing that people, like, in movies you see this really dumb thing where people like jump right in front of the gun and like block the shot. No, that's stupid. The bullet would go through people a lot of times. I guess it depends on the cartridge, but it would go through people a lot of times and just hit the next person. So I just find that really cringy when I see like movies and people jump in the way to block somebody from getting shot. No, that wouldn't happen. So it's just they think that Brad is Tracy's dad because of hair color, but didn't Tracy dye her hair color? And I think there's pictures of Tracy when she had brown hair color. But the thing is, though, is that I'm pretty sure that even if both of your parents aren't blonde, I'm pretty sure that you can still have a child can still have blonde hair if their parents aren't blonde. I'm pretty sure that can still happen. I think that you need to have like a family member that further up the family that was possibly blonde. I'm not an expert on that, but just because Tracy's hair color is like blonde doesn't imply whatsoever that she's related to Brad, which that's like I don't know why people believe that though, but you're so smart, you're the best professional. Well, thank you, Matt. I go to bed really early and wake up at midnight just to watch this stream. I'll not have to watch this later as I missed the start. Well, my stream times are all over the place. Sometimes they're gonna be early, sometimes they're gonna be a little bit later. So. But Mark, yeah, the thing about that is, you know, next stream will probably be a little bit. I'll start a little bit later, maybe like maybe like not very late like I usually start, but what happens if Spider-Man breaks the multiverse in No Way Home? So when Doc Ock was choking Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, he gets teleported before he drowns. Oh, okay, Matthew. Yeah, but I don't think I want to see something like that in a GTA game though. Like I don't want to see the 3D universes and HD universes ever cross over. They should take out the post vans. I agree, JM. I'm blonde, yet my parents aren't. Yeah. So that's the thing. So like, you know, people look at Tracy's hair and they say, oh, she's blonde, so therefore she's Brad's daughter. No, stupid. And don't you think if Tracy was like, if she was Brad's daughter, don't you think that there would have been like some kind of discussion about that in the single player, something mentioned, something like even in Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like I guess it's hard to tell, you know, whether Jack was like John's son, but it's mostly that he's John's son, John's biological son at least. But that's like more debatable. It's more debatable who Jack's biological father is in Red Dead Redemption 2. But when it comes to, like, you know, Tracy and Jimmy, they're very much Michael's biological kids. But what I will say about this is that when it comes to like Jack and Red Dead on Red Dead Redemption 2, like there's so many people that like say that like, oh, you know, Dutch is like, you know, Jack's dad, or they'll say that like, you know, they'll say Jack, or they'll say Dutch or Arthur, or like, you know, they'll speculate on Javier and like a lot of these different like, you know, characters. But what I'll say about that is that John Marston is Jack's dad. Even if he's not his biological dad, he's his dad. Because, you know, where were all the other people? All the other people weren't there. So, you know, John raised him. So it doesn't really matter necessarily who you're related to. It matters, you know, who's the father figure to you, who's the real father. That's the way I see it personally. It's more of just, you know, it's more of, you know, who was there as like an actual father for Jack, and that was John. So to me, it doesn't matter whether you know, Jack is not John's biological, you know, son. He's still his son. You know, those other people, even if the father was like Javier or Dutch, they don't really have, you know, claim to be, you know, Jack's father, even if they're biological, because they weren't there for him. So that's what I'll just say about that. It's my view on that whole thing. But yeah, people speculate on that all the time, on like Jack's real dad. And I'm close getting 100% into Platinum on GTA San Andreas. Oh, that's cool, Dixie. I think San Andreas is the hardest one to Platinum, though. Or the hardest one to 100%, I should say. And it's raining, too, which is going to make it a little harder to fly. Who's more evil, Dimitri or Brad Dimitri? Yeah, I do remember French Tom Flaming. Would I ever consider to buy GTA Plus? And I got a 100% completion on GTA 4, the complete edition with all 3 characters. And how are you doing, man? I'm doing good, Shimon. Hey, thanks for asking, man. Thank you for the super chat. No, I would never buy GTA Plus under any circumstances, guys. That's how against it I am. And I will tell you guys this. Let's say that the next update, whatever it is, God forbid, the next update in GTA Online is like, you know, half of it is locked behind GTA Plus. Even if that was the case, I still wouldn't buy it. Even if I couldn't make videos on the next update because of GTA Plus, I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't buy it. That's how against it I am. And so, you know, I think that like YouTubers that buy GTA Plus, even if they buy GTA Plus just to show what's in it, I think that's kind of defeating the purpose. And I think that that's like, yeah, I think that's a bad example. What if it was offered to you for free? I still wouldn't use it, even if it was offered to me for free, because I wouldn't want people to see that I was using it. So no, I wouldn't take it even if it was offered to me for free. I love the Brad Lore video. Thank you. Ah. You made a great lore video. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do Red Dead 1 one day. I'm glad you liked my Brad lore video. Thank you. I did do a play for Red Dead 2 story mode, but I could do one again in the future. Why are you so much old school type? What do you mean, Aki? Can you give me some examples? What's the worst clickbait ever, excluding GTA 6? Oh, I'll tell you what. The worst clickbait that I've ever seen, other than the GTA 6 clickbait, is the Red Dead Redemption 2 story mode clickbait. Do you guys, now, do you guys remember, like, it was like two or 3 years ago, you guys remember that? I'm sure some people in the chat know what I'm talking about. Like 2 or 3 years ago, there was all this Red Dead Redemption 2 clickbait. Like, it was really bad. And Red Dead Redemption 2 was already out, so the game was already out. But the clickbait was about Red Dead Redemption 2 story DLC. And so all these clickbaiters kept making videos saying Red Dead Redemption 2 story DLC, Red Dead Redemption 2 story this. And they were saying like Javier Escuela expansion pack, Sadie Adler expansion pack, Dutch prequel. Like, I remember that. That was coming up a bunch. You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm sure people have seen what I'm talking about. But it was all these, you know, Red Dead Redemption 2 story clickbait that kept coming up. And they kept saying that, like, there's going to be story DLC where you play as all these different characters, and there's Undead Nightmare Part 2 and all this other stuff. And look, that sounds cool and all, but there is no proof of it. No proof. And they constantly kept saying the same thing. And do you know what actually happened was, the Roger Clark, he was the voice actor for Arthur Morgan, Red Dead Redemption 2. He posted on his Instagram once, and he said, "I'm working on a new project, guys." That's all he wrote, or something like that. And what happened was the clickbaiters made videos about that, and they were saying, "Oh, look, Red Dead Redemption 2 story DLC proof." No, that wasn't proof. The voice actor for Arthur Morgan just said he's working on another project. Doesn't mean he's working on a Red Dead Redemption 2 project. But what happened was, he actually commented, he started getting harassed. So Roger Clark started getting harassed because of the clickbaiters' videos, and they were like saying like, "Oh, you know, he's working on a new Red Dead Redemption 2 story DLC." And so he actually went to one of the clickbaiters' videos and he commented, and he said, "I'm not making any Red Dead Redemption 2 DLC. I was like a music video or something like that." That's what he said. So it was the people were just being so stupid, and it caused the Red Dead Redemption 2 voice actors to get harassed because of the clickbait. So yeah, it was dumb. I guess, Matt, but the thing about that is that we can't really do those lobbies anymore because they're just too dangerous. Because people will join in constantly trying to ruin them. Hey, bro, I'm sorry, I put fresh fruit and ice cream in the blender. What happens? Wait, what? What, Matthew? I'm confused. What? Thank you for the super chat. Did Aki reply? He asked me why I was so old school. I asked him what he means. When I see you dressed up in a suit, but still your cosplays are great. Hope you're not offended. I'm not offended, don't worry. It's fine. What do you think about people abusing the taxi glitch? I'm probably gonna have a video about that, talking about that. But, guys, I haven't played in a public lobby in, like, you know, probably, you know, 2 weeks. I've just been in private lobbies. How bad is this taxi mode, God mode glitch? Is this, like, really out of control? Because I'm getting, like, comments of people saying that it's really annoying. Like, how bad is it? Like, have you guys seen it a lot in public sessions? Because I haven't really played much in public sessions, but later today, I'll probably hop into a public session and just see if people are doing it. But it's, basically, the taxi is like, the taxi glitch is like a new God mode glitch, apparently, and people are saying that it's, like, really easy to do, but that's so stupid. Yeah, there's a God mode glitch for the taxi. So you know how stupid that is. One of the most boring business that was added to the game has now a game-breaking bug. So that's like
That's a
6 God mode spammers in 1 session. What?
That was rude.
The Cops and Crooks DLC. Okay, WR.
We on? Okay. It's
Hey, Scott. Keep the great word professional. Thank you, Scott. Enter a boat. Okay. You can't customize your taxi, no. You ran into one yesterday. Ugh. Yeah, they would. You know the thing about that is, I'll tell you guys something. I used to play a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and when I played a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2 online, there was a glitch with Emperor Palpatine. So Emperor Palpatine, there was a glitch with him where he could kill everybody really quickly. And what happened was, do you know what DICE did? The makers of Battlefront. Do you know what they did? They disabled Emperor Palpatine, so you couldn't use him until they could figure out how to get the glitch, fix the glitch. So basically, they disabled him to prevent people from abusing him until they figured out how to fix the Emperor Palpatine glitch, which I don't understand why Rockstar can't do the same thing. If you can't, like, fix the God mode taxi glitch, just remove the taxi from the game until you fix it. No one's gonna complain about the taxi being gone. So it's, Hello everyone in Pro, really enjoy your Michael, Trevor, and Brad lore video. Excellent work, it was worth the wait. Thank you, George. Oh, it's a milkshake. Okay, you put fresh fruit and ice cream in the blender. Okay, I'm sorry, I was a bit confused. Oh yeah, that I remember too, Carlos, yeah. Why are Walmart parking lots so dangerous? That's a random question, but it is a good question. It's, so, this is what people don't understand, is that, so look, because of movies, because of, like, movies and stuff like that, people have, like, a false sense of, like, security in, like, a lot of places. And so, here's what I'll tell you. Like, a lot of people think the place that you're the most likely to get mugged in, like, the most likely to get robbed in, they think it's, like, some dark alley that, like, you go down. That's, like, what people think is, like, the most dangerous place where you could get robbed. But the thing is, though, is most people aren't going to go down dark alleys at night. Do you know what the most dangerous place that you can actually get robbed at is, that a lot of people don't realize? Parking lots is that's the most dangerous place where you can get robbed. A lot of people don't know that. And especially Walmart parking lots. If it's a Walmart parking lot, the risk of getting robbed is much, much higher than a normal parking lot. And for people wondering, why Walmart specifically? What's so dangerous about these parking lots? These parking lots are the most dangerous at night. So if you're in the parking lot in the daytime, your risk is minimal. But if you're in the parking lot at night, you know, that there's a much higher chance of it happening. The reason that these store parking lots are so dangerous is because what happens is the robbers, the muggers, they will actually wait outside of the stores and they will like hide somewhere. They typically won't park their car in the same parking lot. And the reason they won't park their car in the same parking lot is so that their license plate doesn't appear on cameras. But they will hide somewhere in the parking lot, they'll wait, and they will ambush somebody that's a little bit away from the store, because they look at the parking lot. What criminals do is they look at the parking lot and they look at what kind of car you drive. And criminals can get a pretty good idea of what kind of money somebody has depending on the car that they drive. Not always, but if somebody's driving like, you know, an expensive like Mercedes car or something like that, the criminal is going to assume that they have like a lot of money. And so they're going to watch that car specifically, and they're going to wait till the person comes out of the store with their groceries all in hand, putting it in their trunk. When you're putting it in your trunk and in your car, that's like the greatest risk of getting robbed at that point. And that's why I always tell people is do not go shopping at night. That's what I always tell people, is don't go shopping at night. Don't do it. You know, I'm a hypocrite because sometimes I go late night shopping because I forget something. I need something in the fridge. But, you know, if you can, just keep it minimal. Like, do not go at night. That's, like, your greatest risk. What I will say, though, is, like, in my town here in the Midwest, the police actually did something very smart to actually stop robberies in the Walmart parking lots. And what they did was they installed cameras. So they installed their own cameras. And basically, the police have, like, these like kind of stand things that are in the parking lots, and they're like, it says like police department on them, and it's like a big blue light on it. It's like a camera that's recording 24 hours, and they have like 3 or 4 of them in the parking lot. And so because of that, that's a deterrent. What a deterrent basically is, it's something that stops criminals from committing crime. So when criminals see those cameras, the police cameras specifically, they're less likely to commit a crime. But that's what a lot of people don't realize. I think a lot of people would be surprised in the places where they're at risk of actually being robbed. Just completed the bunker raid mission. Yeah, they do suck, Jen. Thank you, Caleb, for sponsoring my channel. Bots in my Brad video? What? It's more about being out at night than in a parking lot. If you are in a parking lot is where you're more likely to get robbed, though, than, you know, most other places at night, though. The reason that you're more likely to be a victim in a parking lot at night, let's just say that you go out for a jog at night, right? You're just jogging at night, like, you know, some people do that. You are more likely to get robbed in the parking lot at night than you are jogging at night. Why? Because somebody who's jogging isn't necessarily going to carry money on them. You know, they're maybe just running around the block, you know, running around, you know, and they're going to get back to their apartment or their house soon. They're not going to carry, like, hundreds of dollars on them or their credit cards on them. Might have their smartphone on them, but they're typically not going to have a lot of money on them. When somebody's going to Walmart and they're doing, like, a bunch of groceries and stuff like that, they already have money. They have credit cards. They have cash. And so that's why criminals will target those places specifically. So that's what I always say is be careful in parking lots, because parking lots are the most places where you're the most likely to be robbed. People don't realize that. And also, there's also parts in the parking lot where you are the most likely to get robbed in. If you have to go at night, if you have to go to a store at night, if you have to, the safest place that you can park in the parking lot is parking right next to the store. Right next to the store, and it has to have good lighting. If there's a place in the parking lot where a light is out, that's the worst place that you can possibly park. That is the worst possible place, because there's less visibility on you, and a criminal is going to target that area much more. So it has to be a good visibility area, and right as close as possible to the door as you can. That is the safest place that you can go. Also, another thing that you want to do is before you put your groceries in your car, just look at the area. Just look around the area. Just see, is anybody standing in the area? Is anybody, you know, around the area? You know, are you there by yourself? It's like an empty parking lot, you know, just put it in your car. But, yeah, so just keep an eye on the area. You know, just see, is anybody, like, hanging around? Is anybody staring at you? Specifically watch that people are staring at you when you leave. And if they keep staring at you for, you know, some time, doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna rob you. But it's like, you know, that's like, that's, you know, one thing that I'll put as a red flag. If somebody's constantly staring at you when you're putting groceries in your car, it's not a good sign. So that's, that did happen, like, one time. Like, one time I remember I went to, what was it? I went to a Polish neighborhood. A Polish neighborhood in, it was in Long Island. I went there, like, years ago. This is in New York. I went there with my dad. And I'm trying to remember what was the name of the thing. I think the neighborhood was called Kopake. I think that's the name of the neighborhood. It was like a small town. It was like mostly a Polish town. And what happened was, I remember, like, my dad, like, you know, my dad and me were parked the car. We were doing a few groceries. My dad wanted to go to the liquor store and buy some wine. And so, like, it was like kind of like a shopping plaza, basically. And what happened was there was like these two guys in the parking lot, and this is in broad daylight, so this wasn't even at night. And these two guys were just like staring at us constantly, like just staring at us. And I told my dad, I'm like, I got a, like, you know, bad feeling about this. I don't like this. Like, you know, these two guys, they just kept looking at us constantly. And I told that to my dad. My dad's like, you know, you're being too paranoid. That's just what my dad said. It's nothing. And literally what happened is we went to a Polish deli, and we then after we went to the Polish deli, we went back to the car, you know, put some of the food in the car, and then afterwards we went to the when we were leaving the parking lot again, they kept staring at us again, and specifically. And then when we came back from the other store, the wine store, at that point, there was those two guys. There was a cop car already, and those two guys were being arrested at that point. And so somebody had called the cops on them. And what were those two guys trying to do? They were actually trying to break into cars. So they were looking for cars that were specifically unlocked. So they were walking around the parking lot just like trying to open up cars to see, because a lot of people leave their car doors unlocked. And, you know, it was that. But, you know, I tend to do that. I tend to look around the area and I see, like, you know, is anybody staring at me, or, you know, stuff like that. And I see, like, is anybody following me too? I always do look at that. I guess I'm a little paranoid sometimes. But that's just the way I look at it. I studied law enforcement in school. That's what I went to school for. And so I guess I know a little bit about this stuff. And so it just, you know, I always think about that, though. I think about, like, you know, is there a criminal that can jump me or something like that here? And I guess that. Maybe I'm too paranoid. Sometimes maybe I am. But in that instance, my paranoia actually was right in that instance, because I just didn't like the way those two guys kept staring at us. But the reason I think they were staring at us wasn't because they wanted to break into our car specifically, because they weren't, like, breaking windows, they were just opening doors. I think that the reason that they were just staring at us is because they didn't want witnesses. They were just looking around to see, like, when we were going to leave, so they could keep, like, looking into cars. That was basically what it was. So that's just what I'll say about it, is, you know, just, yeah. Just keep it up when you're going to shopping, you know, keep an eye on your surroundings, and, you know, try to park in a place that's the most well lit and stuff like that, and, yeah. Okay, anybody else need help selling? Invite me. I did see, I'll tell you though, when I was a kid, I had, when I was a kid, this is when I was growing up, like, in Queens. I remember that I had seen, it was kind of like, you know, it was maybe like a Friday night, and it was like maybe like around 11 p.m. And it was Friday night, like around maybe 11, 12 at night. And I remember we had like this kind of stoop, like on my parents' like house. My parents owned this small, like, little apartment building in the city. We had like a little stoop, and I sometimes would just sit on the stoop just at, you know, at night. And what happened was I see these, like, you know, two guys, and literally they're going up to this one car. They're like messing around with the door and stuff like that. I see they're like struggling with the door and stuff. This is maybe like in the early 2000s when this happened. And how old was I? Maybe I was like, you know, 10 or 11 at the time. And I recognized the car. It was like one of my neighbor's cars that was like down. He was a little bit down the street, but I didn't know whether they were related to my neighbor or not. And I literally just said to the two guys, I said to them, "Is this your car?" And literally they just stared at me, And then like the one guy like turned around and he looked at his friend and he's like, oh man, we made a mistake. It's our car's like a few blocks away. That's like what he said. This is the wrong car. Oh, we're sorry, we made a mistake. And they walked away. And so that was it. Maybe it was a stupid thing that I did, that I asked them if that was their car, but it was obvious to me that they were lying. They weren't telling the truth. They were trying to break into a car, and then when I called them out on it, they just basically said, oh, you know, wrong mistake, it was wrong car, we thought it was our car, you know, we parked a few blocks away. That was just it. So that was just, yeah. It wasn't stupid. Well, it might have been stupid because I was a young kid and they could have hurt me. So it was that, but, let me join you, Carlos. Speaking of studying law enforcement pro, what was the most messed up case that I read? Business security is Sting useless? What do you mean, Jen? What do I not want in GTA 6? Futuristic stuff.
We selling? Huh? Okay.
Hey, Pro, if you ever want the real GTA experience, come visit New Orleans or, oh, well, it's, well, thank you for the super chat, though, offer. Carlos, can I get into the helicopter? Patrick, a favorite Gillian Anderson is a favorite consideration, and yet I'll be a good time to... Wait, what? I'm confused. You're talking about food? I'm sorry, Matthew. Thank you. I do appreciate the super chats, but I'm just confused. Justin, okay. What was the most messed up case that I ever read about? The most messed up case, there's a lot of really bad cases that I've read about. I'm sure there's even worse cases than this one, but one case that, oh, right, I'm sorry about that, WR, I forgot that you rejoined. I'm just gonna help him with this one cell mission, and then I'll help you next, okay? Because I can't leave the cell mission now that it started, But, there is this one case that I remember, and I remember I saw a documentary on this one case. I saw a documentary about it on TV, and then I read more about it also afterwards. And basically, this case, I never forgot this case because of just how messed up it was. And it's just, it shows you that there's complete evil in this world. There's true evil in this world. Because one of the stupidest things that I learned about in philosophy is when I took philosophy in high school. This is like, you know, over like 11 years ago. I remember that my teacher in philosophy, she said that there's no such thing as evil, and that evil is just like a human construct, and it's what you define as evil, which is kind of like it's a really stupid thing. No, there's clear evil in this world. It's not what you define as evil. There's like there's evil. It doesn't matter what part of the world you go to. There's different cultures, different languages around the world, but people still universally understand what evil is all around the world, no matter the continent or the country. And it was that this one case, I remember, it was the guy in it. I would describe the guy as basically just pure evil. That's what I would describe him as. And you let me know if you guys agree with me that this guy's pure evil. But basically what this guy did is this guy was cheating on his wife. And so he was cheating on his wife with a younger woman who he wanted to marry. And what happened was he didn't want to divorce his wife because he was scared his wife would take a lot of the stuff, the house, money and other things. And so what he did was he took out a life insurance policy on his wife. And the story gets even more messed up. I know people are thinking that he killed his wife. He didn't kill his wife, but it gets much worse than this. What his plan to kill his wife, is really the worst part about the story, is what he had a daughter also with that with his wife before he killed her, and the daughter was like 15 or 16 years old. And so he was what he wanted to do is he basically brainwashed his daughter. So he brainwashed his like 15 year old daughter, and he told her that, like, he's like, your mother is, like, abusing me, and he was, like, saying that your mother is, like, killing me, and she's gonna try to hurt me, and you have to protect me, and you have to kill her before she kills me. And so he basically, like, manipulated his daughter into saying, like, do you not love me as your father? Your mother's gonna hurt me, you have to protect me, and stuff like that. And so he basically tricked his daughter, completely manipulated her, and brainwashed her into actually killing his wife, so that he wouldn't get the blame on it. And he knew his daughter would get the blame on it. And so what he did was, the story gets even worse. What he did was, he gave his daughter a bunch of pills, and he told his daughter, like, take these pills right after you kill your mother, and these pills are gonna knock you out, and then the police are gonna think that you're crazy, and that you're not gonna go to prison for this. And, the 15-year-old, she didn't understand that fully. And so she thought that, she thought her daughter was, like, her father was telling her the truth. But the pills that the dad gave her were gonna kill her, so they weren't going to just knock her out. And what ended up happening was, she ended up surviving. So she killed her mother. I think she shot her mother, and then she took the pills. And after she took the pills, she got knocked out. But it was because she vomited after she took the pills. If she didn't vomit, she would have died. So vomiting saved her life. And then what ended up happening afterwards is the father. She got arrested. She got sentenced to prison. And she didn't want to testify against her father, even though her father had manipulated her into killing his wife. And what happened was, the father never visited his daughter, never, in prison. So he left her to rot in prison. He brainwashed his daughter into killing his wife, and then took the insurance money on his, like, on his wife, and then, like, moved into a new house with his new, like, scumbag girlfriend. And the girlfriend was in on it too. She knew about it too. And literally, and what happened was, so because the dad never visited the daughter got pissed off, like, years later, like, years had passed, and the daughter was, like, 18 or 19, like, 4 or 5 years, and basically the police, like, told her, like, your dad had never come visit you, your dad manipulated you, and basically the police will, like, explain to her that your mother was never abusing your father, that never happened. And so, in a way, even though she did kill her mother, she's a victim in a way, too. Because she was brainwashed. Like, she fully believed, like, 100% believed that her mother was, like, abusing and killing her dad. And so she did that to supposedly protect her dad. And this is, like, 15-year-old kid at the time. So she was easily manipulated by her father. And what ended up happening was, the police cut her a deal. She ended up, she ended up getting released from prison, and she agreed to testify against her dad. Now, her dad was denying the whole thing, but the police brought up a bunch of evidence against him and eventually convicted him. He got sentenced to life in prison. And so, the daughter is now released. She's living her life. She's in her, like, mid-20s at this point now. So, she's gonna have to live with that for the rest of her life, that she killed her mother. But at the same time, she was manipulated. So, that was just, it was just a really messed up thing. But, like, that's, like, one of the worst cases that I personally ever read about. And I read about that case, I remember, and that case was just so disturbing to me, that, like, how could somebody do something like that? Not only killing their wife, cheating on their wife, killing their wife, but also brainwashing their daughter into murdering their wife so that they don't get the blame, and then letting their daughter just rot in prison. I mean, that, to me, that is, like, just pure evil. That is, like, that, there's no question in my mind that guy is evil. And so for the people that tell me that there's no such thing as evil, and evil is just, like, a human creation, there's, like, that's evil. That right there. That guy's evil. That was just, horrible, horrible human being. And I hope he never gets out of prison. I hope he stays there and he rots in prison for the rest of his life. I hope he never gets paroled. So that's, okay, I guess I'll keep helping then Carlos, then WR. Let's keep selling then Carlos. But that's, like, for people asking me what the worst case that I ever read about was, that was that one. So that was, yeah. Early stream today. Thank you, Chess. Hey, Patrick, hope you're having a great Sunday. Saw the For Lore video and loved it, but here's a thought. If Trevor died like he should have, would there have been a chance we play as Brad instead? I guess, possibly.
Alright, these drops are only accessible.
The thing about Brad is Brad isn't as smart as Trevor. Trevor is insane, but Trevor is much smarter than Brad. Thank you, Matthew. A favorite, Gillian Anderson is a favorite consideration. I don't know that she is, but if you have a new film that will... Wait, what are you talking about, Matthew? I'm confused. Can you explain? I'm getting confused by your super chats. I don't know what you're talking about, Matthew. I'm just getting confused. Yeah, I don't know what Matthew was talking about. I'm sorry, Matthew. I appreciate the super chats, but I really don't know what you're talking about. But there was another case that I remember I read about, and this case happened in like the 1970s. It was the 1970s or early 1980s, and basically what happened was this case was like really messed up too, and it was like this case was also evil. But basically what happened was this dad took his daughter and his son out for trick-or-treating. And what ended up happening was after the kids got back home, they opened up their candy. And after they opened up their candy, the son had like a really bad headache, or something was wrong with the son, like he was feeling ill, and the illness got worse, and they took this was like a child, they took him to a hospital and he died. And what they found out later on, it was poison that was in the Halloween candy. Now I don't remember what poison it was, but this is a real case that also happened. It's a really messed up one. And what ended up happening is they found out that the other candies were also poisoned, and the sister didn't eat the other poisoned candy. And what happened is the police were investigating who poisoned this candy specifically. And so they went like door to door to all the different houses, and there was this one suspect that they had. And the one suspect they had was like this one guy in the neighborhood that like people didn't get along with him, they didn't like him. He was just like he was like a guy that kept to himself. He wasn't like the nicest person ever. He was like a very, antisocial guy. And so the dad kept pointing fingers at that guy. He said, it's that guy. Nobody likes him in the neighborhood. He's the one who did it. He was suspicious when he gave my son that candy. And what happened is, do you know who was the killer in that case? The killer was the dad. The dad was the one who actually poisoned his son. And why did the dad poison his child? Why did he tried to kill he killed his son, and he tried to kill his daughter. And he tried to blame it on that guy in the neighborhood that nobody liked. So he thought that it'd be easy to pin it on that one guy because nobody liked him in the neighborhood. And so what happened is the reason that he was trying to kill his kids, he killed his son, but the reason he was trying to kill both of his kids was because he took a life insurance policy out on both of his kids. So he took a life insurance policy out on his daughter and his son. And he basically planned this whole thing out. The wife didn't know about it at all. But the dad did that. And I'm like, how evil does somebody have to be to do something like that? So that's like, just these horrible, evil, scummy, terrible people. And what ended up happening is the dad got the death penalty. So he didn't get just life in prison, he got the death penalty for that. I don't know if he got executed or not. This is like, the 70s, so he probably was executed by this time. But what ended up happening is the people in the town, when they heard about that the dad had poisoned and killed his child, the people in the town were outraged. And the people in the town were about to kill this guy. And what happened was the police, when they had the dad arrested, they had to keep him under protection because the mob of people was going to kill him in the town. And so how messed up was that too? That the police had to protect the child killer before his trial. So that's I can't imagine being that cop though, and protecting that dad at the same time. I mean, they did have to protect him because you can't have mob rule, but at the same time he was a piece of crap. So it was just he's an evil person. He definitely deserved the death penalty. So it was that, yeah, he was, that's so, when I see these people that they say there's no such thing as evil in this world, and they say that evil is just all just all just what you define it as, no, that's evil. So that was one case there, but yeah. Well, you can't, it is messed up, But, you know, you can't have mob rule because, you know, you have to have a proper justice system. You can't have, like, but, you know, I can't imagine what it's like being that cop that had to protect him. But it was like, you know, you have to have, like, a proper trial for everyone, but it was just, you know, that guy definitely deserved a death penalty, 100%. And that's, like, you know, death penalty is made for a person like that, specifically, you know, that. But also, what I'll tell you about these, like, one thing that I learned about in law enforcement when I was like studying it in school is that criminals think that the police are stupid. I don't know why they think this, but they think that the police are like dumb. They think that the police that they're not able to put all this together. But here's the thing: the police look at all possibilities, everything. So even if you are a close family member, even if you're like the brother or the father or the daughter of like whoever was killed, police still look at you. They don't necessarily look at you as a suspect, but they try to eliminate all possibilities. People don't realize that. And so just because he thought that because he was the dad that he wasn't going to be screened. So he thought that because he was the dad that the police weren't going to look at him. They thought they were just going to go with his story. How did the police tell that he did it? It was basically what the dad did is 1 week before he poisoned his son, he took out a life insurance policy. 1 week beforehand. And that was the massive red flag. And so basically these criminals don't think the police are going to check that. They don't think the police are going to check life insurance. That's one of the first things police do is they check life insurance. When somebody dies, they check when was the life insurance policy taken out. If it was taken out just a few days before somebody died, that's a massive red flag. It doesn't necessarily mean they killed him. It could have just been like a massive coincidence. But it's almost always a red flag, a massive red flag, is when somebody takes out a life insurance policy right before that person dies. So the police almost always have their killer just by looking at that. But these criminals, like I said, they think that the police are stupid. But you know, police did their job. They got the dad, and he did suffer the full penalty of the law. So yeah. I understand the frustration of the people in the town who wanted to hurt the dad. But you know the police did have to protect him until his trial because you have to have a proper justice system. You know, you can't allow it to be like mob rule like the French Revolution. So it's it has to be like proper procedure. But he did get punished in the end, and he got what he deserved. So it was no, I haven't sighed. Pro, when Sonny says the Colombians are getting a piece of Vice City, is he talking about Pablo Escobar, since that time Vice City takes place? No, not necessarily. But here's the thing: Diaz's cartel is the Colombian cartel. They are. You know, people don't realize that Diaz is from Colombia. So it's the Diaz cartel is the Colombian cartel in Vice City. A lot of his guys probably aren't necessarily from Colombia, but it started out as a Colombian cartel. So it's I mean, Tommy works for Diaz, and he's not Colombian, but yeah, Diaz was a Colombian drug lord. But Pablo Escobar wasn't just the only Colombian drug lord. Like there's a lot of them out there, and so a lot of the guy who's El Rubio. El Rubio is based on a real life drug lord. People don't know that. He's based on Carlos Lecter. That's who he's based on. And Carlos Lecter had his own private island. He had his own island where he grew drugs on, and the island had an airstrip. And it also had a mansion where he threw big parties constantly. And so he was obsessed with parties. He had an airstrip. He was also a German Colombian. So that was, it's everything the same thing with Rubio. Private island, airstrip, big mansion, he throws parties, German Colombian, drug lord. The only difference between Rubio and Carlos Lecter is that Carlos Lecter was a neo-Nazi in real life as well. So he wasn't just a drug lord, he was also a neo-Nazi. He was a very creepy guy. But it was, but he had his, private island with just, fleet of airplanes. But you can understand why they didn't. The reason they probably didn't make El Rubio a neo-Nazi in in GTA Online, probably because it'd be a bit controversial. So that's but that's who he's based on in real life, is Carlos Lecter. So that was he's a really bad guy. Okay, Matthew, I don't know what you're talking about with all your comments. Thank you for the super chats, but I don't know. I'm just very confused by your comments. It's got a helicopter here. But, yeah, for people wondering what happened to Carlos Lecter had been arrested. His island had gotten shut down. And his island in real life, I think it was technically part of Jamaica or the Bahamas. I'm trying to remember where it was. But it was, if you actually look at Carlos Lecter's island and you look at Cayo Perico, it looks very similar. Like, very, very similar. It's not a large island at all. And the way the island is shaped, like the shape of it, looks very similar, where the airstrip is and stuff like that. His mansion wasn't as big as Rubio's mansion, but it was, you know, he did throw considerable parties and stuff like that. He did get arrested, so he got arrested. He served, you know, I think a few decades in prison. He's still alive right now. I think he's out of prison by now. But he, yeah. I think there's a TV show about, drug lords, and I think they did one episode about him specifically. I might do, like, a lore video maybe one day, like, lore video explaining, like, Rubio and the guy he was based on in real life, too. One more drop. I guess we'll just wait for this drop to be made. Oh, there it is. Okay. He got released in 2020, yes. Are you trying to crash? No, not really. Just messing around a bit. The island is called Norman's Cay. Oh, that's it. Do you know what the creepiest thing about one really creepy thing about these drug lords, do you know what that is? Is that, one really creepy thing about them is that some people consider these drug lords heroes. I don't know why, but like, you know, in Carlos Lecter's case, what he did was he offered to actually pay off Colombia's debt. That's how rich he was. He offered to pay off Colombia's debt if they legalized cocaine, or if they looked the other way when it came to his drug sales. I think that's what it was. But that doesn't make him a good person. He was just he offered to do that only just so he could continue his illegal businesses. But, you know, this is a guy who had, you know, killed how many people? Like, you know, there's probably been a bunch of unsolved murders that haven't been, that he was responsible for. You know, he ran a whole fleet of planes from his island. You know, he probably, you know, he got thousands of people got addicted to his drugs. You know, he's probably responsible for hundreds of overdoses. He's, you know, this is a guy who also, like, you know, he praised Hitler. So, like, you know, so for anybody who thinks that Carlos Lecter was, like, a good person, or they think that, like, Pablo Escobar was, like, a good person or something, these were evil people. These were bad people. But I just find that so stupid how, like, some people, like, look up to these drug lords and they think that they're, like, they're good people. He's still evil. Oh, yeah, he is, definitely. No, I know Escobar. I don't think Escobar was a neo-Nazi, but I'm saying it's Carlos Lecter was, the guy that El Rubio was based on.
It sailed.
Bro, you missed my super chat. I apologize. Thoughts on Chris Hansen? Isn't that the Wait, that's the guy who like, you know, busts the he busts the perverts and like the child molesters, right? That's Chris Hansen. Isn't that the guy who like he does like that show? Like I remember, I think he did that show. Yeah, it was like on years ago where he would like, yeah, he stopped child molesters and like all these creepy like, you know, perverts and all these people. Yeah, is that the guy that I'm thinking of? Okay, yeah, people are saying yeah. Yeah, so, you know, he did a very brave thing, you know, stopping a lot of these people. Okay, I can help you a little bit, WR. Chris Hansen telling Marty and JD to have a seat. Oh yeah, isn't that his line? Have a seat or something like that? Yeah, I think I'm starting to remember now. He's the guy who comes in with the cameras. Yeah, he's the guy who comes in with the cameras when there's like the creepy perverts and the child molesters. Yeah, he stops them. Yeah, I know who you guys are talking about now. Oh, he's definitely a hero. He's definitely a hero for stopping those people. It also puts him at risk, though. It does put him at risk. It is dangerous, but he is a hero for stopping those people. Do you believe a person can change? Let's say a person is a racist and decides to leave that life and change. If somebody is racist, of course I believe that they can change. Of course I believe that. I believe in second chances. But it depends on what they did specifically. Because certain things I will believe in second chances for. Like, I think if somebody's racist, you know, earlier in their life, there is a huge possibility they can change, definitely. When it comes to stuff like that, I definitely think people can change and become better people. But there are certain things that I think people are, you know, I don't give second chances for. There are certain things, and the things that I don't give second chances for and don't support second chances for are when people commit a crime that is unforgivable. And what I mean by an unforgivable crime, I mean murder, I mean rape, you know, any kind of molestation, you know, stuff like that. Generally, I don't think that there's any kind of forgiveness for that kind of, you know, crime, and I think that the person should, you know, I don't think that there's a second chance for something like that. You know, other crimes, you know, other smaller crimes like assault, robbery, you know, even drug dealing, as long as they haven't killed anybody, that I do think that there is, like, being a member of a gang, I do think that people can turn their lives around and they can change. I think that does happen. Like, you know, I've read about some, like, you know, hardened criminals that have turned their lives around. So I do think that does happen. People can change. But it, like I said, it depends on the crime. It depends on what they did specifically. If it's something like racism, that's yeah, they can definitely change. If it's like, you know, they were a member of a gang, they could turn their life around. I think so. But if it's like a, you know, somebody that murdered somebody, no, I don't think that person should deserve forgiveness. Even if they're truly sorry for it, I don't think they deserve forgiveness. So I think human life is the most important thing, and I think that if somebody takes in their human life, you know, that's, you know, somebody lost their life. You know, why should we give that other person a second chance now? So it's just, that's the way I see it personally. It's the way I look at it. Thank you, Ibrahim, for subscribing. What I'll tell you is that when it comes to, like, gangs, for example, you know, one of the things that people don't understand about gangs is that there are a lot of people that unfortunately fall into gangs. They fall into a bad crowd. That happens to people. It's like, you know, maybe people don't have a lot of friends when they're younger. They fall into a bad crowd. They associate with bad people and develop views similar to those bad people. The same thing happens with people who are racist. Like, people who are generally racist, that doesn't generally just come out of nowhere, that they generally learn that from something. They learn that from their friends, or they learn that from their family. It's just, you know, something, or they even learn it online. It's like, it's something that usually they associate with, and they get, you know, people that they usually associate with, that, you know, that they get those views from. But yeah, and when it comes to like gangs, it's like, what people don't understand about gangs is that there are people that fall into a bad crowd, and usually people who are poor, like they're poor, they don't have a lot of opportunity, they don't have opportunity for like better education, better jobs, and so they join a gang, and they feel like a sense of, you know, brotherhood, friendship in that gang, and they become very loyal to that gang. And that's like, and when it comes to like these mobsters that are like really cold-blooded, what a lot of people don't know about mobsters is that mobsters do dress up fancy, like a lot of times, like, you know, dress up in expensive suits and stuff like that. But what they don't know about a lot of mobsters is that most people who are in the mafia started out poor. A lot of people don't know that. So a lot of people that actually start out in the mafia are poor. Do you know who most of the people who aren't poor in the mafia, who don't start out poor, are people who are born into the mafia. So the mobsters' kids, usually they're spoiled, they're rich, but the mobsters themselves, most of the time, they were actually born poor. And so they get offered like a job, you know, they get offered a job to do something illegal, you know, extort somebody, they get thousands of dollars for it. And that's like more money than they've ever had in their life. And so they get addicted to that lifestyle, and they see, you know, I'm getting way more money than I ever did, and I don't have to work that hard. And so they fall into that bad crowd, unfortunately. And when it comes to like killing, like maybe the first person they kill, they'll feel like some kind of remorse for it, but then afterwards they just get so used to it, they just don't care anymore. And that's it. So basically the thing that I'm trying to explain here is that if somebody joins a gang when they're young, you know, when somebody joins a gang when they're like, you know, teenager to like early 20s, I think you can save them. I think you can. But when somebody has been in that gang for so many years, it's so hard to save them at that point. It's so hard because they've fallen so much into that gang. You would have to turn the way they see the world. The way they see the world, you have to completely change that and turn that around. And that is something that's very, very hard to do. Extremely hard to do. Like, you know, if you look at like, you know, you look at some of these gangs, like, you know, the like, you know, MS-13, for example. Like, do you think that those guys can change? No, a lot of those guys are like stone cold killers. Maybe it's like the people that join MS-13 at a young age, like the young, you know, people, they can possibly change their life around, they can turn it around, they could, like, you know, they could try to live productive lives and stop, you know, associating with that gang if you know, help them out. But if it's like somebody that's been in the gang for like, you know, over a decade at that point, it's almost impossible to get them to change. It's very, very difficult. And so it's the same thing with like cartels. It's like these guys, it's so hard to like, you know, get them to change. So if you help somebody early out at an early age, then yes, you know, you might be able to save them and could actually help them turn around their life. There was this guy I saw in Dr. Phil once. There was like this gang member who he was like in a gang for like decades. So he was like an older guy, and he had served in prison. One of the things that like turned his life around was when he was in prison, that he didn't get to see his kids grow up, and that's one of the things that kind of turned his life around. And he decided that he's not going to be associated with that anymore. And the guy, like, I forget the guy's name, but he's on Dr. Phil a few times, and he tries to tell young people like not to join gangs and try to give them advice and stuff like that. And there was one episode on Dr. Phil. There was like this one kid who was like a troublemaker, and he wanted to join like a gang, and like he was the older guy, was the older gang member, was like telling him, don't do this, you know, you're gonna destroy your life, you're gonna hurt the people around you, you're either gonna end up in prison or you're gonna end up dead. So that's about that. So generally, the person asking me, I know I answered, it was a long answer that I gave. I do generally believe in second chances. I think that people can change, but I believe that people can change, but I don't think everyone can change, if you know what I mean by that. So it's like, yes, it depends on the person. It depends on, you know, some people will never change. They will always be, you know, terrible people. But, you know, some people can change. But do I think that everyone deserves forgiveness? It depends. It depends on what they did. If it's an unforgivable crime, I don't think they deserve forgiveness. If it's like a, you know, if they've been a member of a gang and they've committed a few crimes, I think they do deserve a second chance at life. They should obviously serve their prison time. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to prison. They should. But, you know, I think that we should try to help them reintegrate into society, and you know, keep them away from that path. That's just generally my thoughts on it. But, you know, I was like, I'll tell you though that like, when I was, I'll leave my MC, okay. When I was like younger though, when I was like younger, I didn't think that like these criminals deserved like a second chance. You know, I supported like punishment all the way, but it was like, you know what kind of changed my thinking on that is like when I started like reading more into like law enforcement, and I started reading more into like, you know, people that like fall into bad crowds, and I was thinking like, not everyone has all the right opportunities. That's what I was thinking, and that changed my mind on that a lot. And I'm not saying that it's right that they join gangs. I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying it's right that they commit the crimes, but I'm just saying is not everyone has the same opportunities. And that's, and because of that, sometimes people fall into a bad crowd. It's not an excuse, but it's, but they didn't have a lot of options. That's just what I'll say about that. Like, and in a perfect example of do you know what the most realistic GTA character, the most accurate depiction of a criminal that I've ever seen in the GTA game is? The most realistic depiction of a criminal is Dwayne. Dwayne in GTA 4, I think he is the most realistic depiction of a criminal that I've ever seen in a GTA game. And the reason that I find Dwayne so realistic is because there are people just like him, like very, very similar to him, almost exact same personality, where, you know, he grew up very poor, he didn't have a lot of opportunity, and, you know, he actually wanted to be a cop, he did. But he tells Nico that when you hang out with him, but the reason he never became a cop was because he didn't have a lot of opportunity. He didn't know how to read. You know, his parents were really terrible people. His father was like an abusive pimp. His father beat his mom constantly, and he didn't get into the police because there's a lot of racism at the time when he tried to get into the police also. So the character of Dwayne, I would say Dwayne is the most realistic, the most realistic character that I've ever seen in like a GTA game for that. And, you know, and what's so realistic about Dwayne is that he has never had that much money. He's always been in absolute poverty. And then when he starts dealing crack, he has like all this money all of a sudden. He has like thousands of dollars and he doesn't know what to do with it. He has like apartments, mansions, you know, all this stuff. And Dwayne was Dwayne was like a, multi-millionaire, before he went to prison. He was much richer than Playboy, much richer. Do you see how rich Playboy was? Dwayne was probably 3 times richer than him at his height. When it was crack was in the 90s. So it was, Dwayne was very wealthy, very rich. He had a lot of money, and then he got sentenced to prison. And when you go to prison, they take everything away that somebody earned illegally. So if the government can prove that you earned something illegally through like dirty money, drugs, stuff like that, they're gonna take it all away. So he lost all his houses, he lost his apartments. His girlfriend, who he gave so much money to, cheated on him and screwed him over with the guy who actually ended up ratting him out. And so he gets out of prison, and what happens when he gets out of prison? It's very similar. It's like the people who he associated with, don't want to associate with him anymore. They forgot about him, and that's the thing about that's the thing about crime. What people don't understand is that in gangs, mafias, there is no such thing as friends. There is no such thing as true friends in the mafia. There's no such thing as true friends in gangs, because everybody's in it out for themselves. They're just in it for the money. That's all they care about. They associate with each other. Maybe they're friendly with each other, but they don't care about each other. If they can get ahead by screwing over another member of the gang or the mafia, they'll do it, and they don't care. And so it's like, you see these gangs talk about, oh, we're a family, we're brotherhood, and everything like that, but they will screw each other over instantly. They'll turn on each other, and it's like what was it? It's like like the oh yeah, remember my professor one time, and he was a detective. He said specifically about omerta, which for people who don't know what omerta is. Omerta is basically the mafia code of silence. So basically, omerta is that you never acknowledge the mafia exists to the police, and you never talk about the family. That's basically it. That's what the code of omerta is. And I remember my teacher, he said about the omerta, he said specifically it's the code of honor, but it should be more the joke code. That's what my teacher called it, because he said that these guys talk so much about how much they're a family and how they're all together as a family, but yet the second that these guys get arrested, they will turn on each other and they'll rat each other out. So there really is no such thing as like, true friends in that lifestyle. They're all in it for themselves. The only time that you might actually have like true friends in like the mafia is if it's like related. If it's like a brother or like a son, then yes, then you'll have like true friends. But the thing about it is that like even that one guy, the one mobster, it was Michael Franchise. He was like a capo, a captain in the in the what was he? He was in the Gambino family, I think he was. He's that mafia guy that you see on YouTube videos. He reacts to like mafia games and stuff like that. About him is his own dad actually put out a hit on him, and he didn't even rat out the family. And the reason that his dad put out a hit on him, according to him, is he said he just left the family. So he didn't even rat the family out or anything like that. He just said, I don't want anything to do with the mafia anymore. I'm not gonna rat you out. But even though he said he's not gonna rat them out, he just wants to leave the family. That wasn't good enough for them. And so his own dad was involved in like putting out a hit on him. So that shows you the horror of the mafia, that there really is no such thing as like, you know, friends in that life. And it's the same thing with Dwayne. Dwayne is like you know, Dwayne showed Playboy everything. He helped Playboy is like a poor kid on the streets. Dwayne was almost like a father figure to him. And so Dwayne helped Playboy out with everything. And how did Playboy repay Dwayne for everything that he helped him out with? He literally Dwayne, he stopped visiting Dwayne in prison in 2004, so 4 years later he left him. He didn't even check up on him when he was getting released from prison. And also, it was that, the thing about this is that literally when Dwayne gets out of prison, Playboy doesn't even help him get out on his feet. Nothing. He gives him like a few handouts and just sends Nico over. But does Playboy actually ever visit Dwayne? Does Playboy actually go to Dwayne's apartment and hang out with him and to see, hey, what's up with you? Nothing. And all the money that Playboy has, he could definitely help Dwayne live in a much better state than he's living in right now. Like, he could definitely get him a much nicer place to live. Like, I'm not saying it has to be a mansion or anything, but he could easily, Playboy could have easily helped Dwayne get into like a much nicer home, no problem. And it was that shows you how much of a scumbag Playboy is. But it's like I said, that depiction of Dwayne is the most realistic GTA character, definitely, because it just has, it shows you just like somebody who's poor, falls into a bad crowd, and just, they get so much money, but then they lose everything, and then they get out of prison, and they have nothing. And that's like, and you can't really blame Dwayne for his depression either. You know, he's like, it's understandable why he's upset. So that's just that he has no friends, he has no money, he doesn't know he can't read at his age, he doesn't know what he's gonna do with his life. So that's just, you really can't blame Dwayne for the mental state that he's in personally. And that's why I think, you know, it's the stupidest decision ever to kill Dwayne. If anybody kills Dwayne, that's the stupidest, worst decision that you could possibly make. Like, Playboy definitely deserved it 100%. But yeah, that's just what I'll say about that, is like, you know, Dwayne was the most realistic, like, you know, GTA character in my opinion. Oh, I did miss a bunch of comments. Hey, Pro, I'll join the party when I'm done with the work. A guy at work today was being a scumbag. I'll explain later, but would you like to play Hell Let Loose after the stream? Possibly later tonight, maybe a few hours from now. Thank you, Melon, for the super chat. That was a great video you put out yesterday. Thank you, Victor. Thanks, man. Hey, Met Pro, you mentioned in your Godfather playthrough that the Sicilian Mafia are very much more evil than the American Mafia. What are some examples? Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. Well, the Sicilian Mafia, I don't know if the term evil is what I would use specifically, but the Sicilian Mafia are much more dangerous than the Italian-American Mafia. And the thing about that is that the Sicilian Mafia, like, they will just, you know, wipe you all out. Like, the American Mafia, even though they're scumbags, it's more easier to reason with them than reason with the Sicilian Mafia. Like, you know, if you do something to piss off the Sicilian Mafia, even if it's a tiny thing, even if it's really small, there's like nothing you can do to resolve that. Like, nothing at that point. It's like, with the Italian-American Mafia, they might still kill you, but there might be like a better way to reason with them and figure things out. But like, the Sicilian Mafia are just not going to stand for anything whatsoever. And so if you even have the smallest amount of disrespect to them, if you offend them in even the smallest amount of way, that's scary. So that's what you know, about the Sicilian Mafia, what I'll say about them specifically. But the Sicilian Mafia is not the strongest, you know, criminal organization in the world anymore. I don't consider them the strongest criminal organization. Who do I consider the strongest criminal organization in the world? The cartels. That's who I consider the strongest criminal organization in the world. I don't think the Sicilian Mafia is strong, sure, but they don't have the power that they used to have in the past. But the thing about it is, what I was saying earlier, guys, remember what I was saying earlier. Why was the Sicilian Mafia so powerful? And why did they originate in Sicily? Like, people don't seem to understand that. Why did the Sicilian Mafia originate in Sicily? The reason that they originated in Sicily is because Sicily was the poorest part of Italy. Because Italy, historically, is almost like two countries. People don't know that. So, Italy, basically what happened with Italy is the north part of Italy, the north, you know, past the mountains, you had, like, the richer parts of Italy. And so you had like the bigger cities, the richer districts, and the government would invest in the northern parts of the country. It would ignore the southern parts of the country. The southern parts of the country were mostly farmers and peasants. And so the North looked down on the South. They like considered them peasants, and they treated them like garbage. And this is hundreds of years in Italy, and even to this day, some of it still exists. And so the South have always been treated like garbage by the northern parts of Italy. And it was the same thing during World War II. During World War II, when the fascists ran Italy, where was the fascist government? It was mostly people from the north. It was mostly rich elites from the north, and they basically looked down on the poor southern Italians. So that was and that was one of the reasons that the resistance to the fascism was so great in southern Italy, because people were the most oppressed in southern Italy, and so that was that. But that's why the Sicilian mafia. That's why the mafia formed in Sicily. That's why the Italian mafia didn't form in North Italy. It formed in Sicily, because Sicily was very poor, and where you have poverty, Sicily was the poorest part of Italy. Where you have poverty, you are going to have more crime. It's universal. This happens everywhere. It doesn't matter if this is Asia, Europe, Africa, South America, North America. Wherever you have poverty, you are going to have an increase in crime. It pretty much happens everywhere, every country. Why is there more crime where there's poor people? The reason for that is because people don't have opportunity, like I said. They don't have ways of making money, and so they turn to crime. That's the thing about it, is like if you look at the favelas in Brazil, people talk about how dangerous the favelas are. And they are dangerous, sure. There's a lot of gangs in the favelas. But do you know what people don't talk about? People don't talk about why are there gangs in the favelas? Why is there so much crime in the favelas? That's what people don't talk about. The reason there's so much crime in the favelas is because it's so poor. People don't have opportunity, and they live in these small like shanty towns, and all the rich people, they live in their penthouses just like looking down on them, and so the poor people in like the favelas are getting pissed off at them, and for good reason too. And you look at like the Brazilian government, for example, and you look at like what they do. Like, what did the Brazilian government do when they had the Olympics in Brazil? Do you know what they did? Instead of actually helping the favelas and helping them to develop them and making sure that people get out of poverty, you know what the Brazilian government instead did? They built a giant wall around the favelas. That's what they did. They built a giant wall. And so when the highways like ran through the favelas in Rio, and so when the athletes were coming up from around the world and they would be on their buses, they wouldn't be able to see the favelas because of the wall. And the government was just saying, oh, it was a new barrier. It had nothing to do with blocking the favelas. Oh yeah, sure. It was definitely to block the favelas because they didn't want people to see how poor people live in the favelas. But that was it. So instead of fixing the problem, like instead of helping people get out of poverty, the Brazilian government solution, let's just hide the problem and let's just build a big wall around it. That's just disgusting. But that's the thing about it is, tougher policing is tough policing is or I shouldn't even say tough policing. I should say more of professional policing, because tougher policing, yeah, that's not the right word that I would use. Professional policing, like good policing, good police work, is like you need to have a good police force that knows what they're doing. Is not brutal. Like you had those like scumbag cops. Like there was like a few of you guys on my Red Dead stream. A few of you guys were telling me like about this story that happened, and I didn't know about the story, but I actually, it was like a recent thing that happened, and the other day I watched the video. It was like horrible, and like I hope those cops are like face the full penalty of the law. But the really bad thing about that is that it gives good cops a bad name, because people start to think that all cops are like that. But what disgusted me so much about that was it was like you had 5 cops involved in the whole thing, and that not one of them stopped it. Like they just kept hurting the guy, and like not one of them stopped. Like you didn't have like one cop that would say like this is too much. Like not one of them. So like I can't believe that many cops there and not one of them stopped it. But yeah. That's what I'll say is that one of the best ways to deal with one of the best ways to deal with crime and to reduce crime. I'm trying to get out of this thing. Literally, you need to have a good professional police force that knows what they're doing, enforces the law, but isn't brutal also. But Brazil, on the other hand, if you look at a country like Brazil has the 2 worst combinations when it comes to crime. And that is, the police in Brazil can be very brutal. They're very extremely militarized, but also on top of that is there's such poverty in the favelas. The solution is to have a good police force. Don't shrink the police force. Have a good police force that knows what they're doing, aren't brutal, but also on top of that is reduce poverty. Reduce poverty. If you help people get out of poverty, if you help people stop being poor, that will reduce crime overall. If you help people get out of poverty, people aren't living paycheck to paycheck, that will reduce crime everywhere. It'll happen. Because people will turn to crime when they don't have opportunity. When they don't have opportunity, they will turn to crime. And so if you help people get out of poverty, you will reduce crime. So that's it's just the cops in that were just very unprofessional. I don't know what they were doing, but there's a reason that all of them got fired, and they're gonna, I hope they face the full penalty of the law. And honestly, like, for somebody that wanted to be a police officer, I when it comes to police brutality or police corruption, I hate that so much. Like, just with a burning passion, I hate like police brutality and police corruption, because it's like somebody that like somebody became a cop because they wanted to uphold the law and help their community, but instead of doing that, they're abusing their power and they're being corrupt. It's just so literally I hope they face the full penalty of the law. But also, I really hope that doesn't make the public think that all cops are bad people, because that's not true. Most cops are good people, but those guys, they need to go to prison. So it's yeah. But that's that. I think personally, like, community policing is probably the best form of policing. It is, in my opinion. For people that don't know what community policing is, it's a strategy the police use. And what community policing basically is the police that patrol their communities, they get to know the people in the community. So they develop friendly relations with the people, they talk to the people, they talk to the community leaders, they get to know them, they socialize with people, they host events where the people can meet the cops, like, maybe have meals with the cops and stuff like that. I think that's generally the best form of policing, because you get to know people in the neighborhood, you become friends with them, and people feel more safer talking to the police and associating with the police. And I think that's personally like the best form of policing that you can have, when people are friendly to each other and people know the police and talk to the community leaders and everything like that. But also yeah, community policing, and then you also need to also prevent the broken windows theory from happening. That's another thing. And for people that don't know what broken windows theory is basically when you have too little police activity. So community policing is when you're friends with the community, the police talk to the community, they associate with the community. Broken windows, on the other hand, it's like broken windows is where there's very little policing, right? Basically, there's some people, and the people, they don't call it broken windows, but like when you see those people that say they want to defund the police, that's really stupid. And I'll tell you that if you defund the police, that's going to cause so many problems. It will. Crime will shoot up. So the number one thing that you can do to reduce crime is to help people get out of poverty. But you also need to have a police force, because even if you don't have poverty, you still are going to have some crime. And if you have no police, basically, like some of these people they want to abolish the police, that would cause crime to shoot up. That would. Like, if you look at parts of Chicago, for example, like, a lot of the police in Chicago have stopped patrolling certain neighborhoods because people didn't want them in those neighborhoods. And when they stopped patrolling those neighborhoods, crime shut up. It did happen. And the mayor in, like, Chicago, not trying to get into politics or anything like that, but she blames the police a lot of times when there's some really bad policies on her end that is causing crime to go up. But that's like, but when it comes to broken windows, for example, broken windows is like another thing that you can do to reduce crime. And what the idea of broken windows basically is that, let's say that somebody does graffiti. It's basically, how do good neighborhoods turn bad? How does that happen? How does a good neighborhood become a bad neighborhood? How that happens is it starts out small. So you have, like, maybe you'll have some people that do graffiti. They'll spray some graffiti all over the place. And what happens is, if the police don't bother with the graffiti, they say, oh, it's just graffiti, we're not going to bother with this. If they don't bother with that, do you know what happens when the police don't bother with that? When the criminals see that they can get away with small things like graffiti, they're going to move up the next step. And so the next step after that, after they do graffiti, maybe they'll throw a brick into somebody's window. Or they'll start breaking into cars. If they start breaking into cars and stealing stuff from cars, and the police at that point don't do anything again, then the criminals step up even more. They go to the next step. What's the next step after that? Graffiti, breaking into cars. After that, they will maybe start dealing drugs. Maybe they'll start dealing drugs. Then maybe prostitutes will appear on the streets at that point. The police aren't upholding the law. And what happens is, when you have drugs pour into a neighborhood, that's the worst. That's one of the worst things that can happen at that point. Because when you have drugs, it causes like a chain reaction of so many problems. So many bad things start happening when drugs come into a neighborhood. Because what happens at that point is, you'll have rival drug dealers who will start competing with each other for drug routes, and selling drugs in certain parts of the neighborhood, and they'll kill each other or fight each other, and those drug dealers will oftentimes be associated with gangs. And so then the gangs will come into the neighborhood, and they'll start fighting and killing each other over drug territory. And on top of that, the drugs that are being sold are going to get people addicted. And when people get addicted to the drugs, they want drugs, and they don't have money to pay for the drugs, because most of the people that buy the drugs are going to be poor anyways. So what the people that are drug addicts, what they're going to do to get money for their drugs is they're going to start breaking into houses. So burglaries are going to go up, and robberies are going to go up because they want money for their habits. And that's how a good neighborhood turns bad. That's basically exactly what happens. It starts out small, and the police don't do anything about it, and that's what happened in Chicago, in a lot of neighborhoods in Chicago. There's a lot of good neighborhoods that went bad because the police were not enforcing the law, and it started out small, went to then drugs and to gangs, and it got completely out of control, and so that's it. So, for the people, for the people that, want to, complete enforcement, I don't think that's necessarily a good idea also. Community policing is the way to go, but also you don't want to have it where you have no enforcement at that point, where you have abolishing the police, because that's stupid. But you want to have a humane system, and you want to be able to talk to the people in the community, have good relations with the police, help people get out of poverty, eliminate poverty, and at that point you're gonna clean up neighborhoods. It's gonna be a lot better, and you'll stop take down a lot of the gangs. But a lot of times I see it where, and this goes for both people in my country, at least both parties. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to crime, because one party basically thinks that the solution is just complete policing everything, and they don't really talk about the poverty. Where the other party, they basically think that the solution is to abolish the police, and so you have both parties that they don't really know what they're doing. So that's so that's just what I'll say about it. It's like a combination of factors that you need to reduce crime and help people generally. But that's what I'll say about that. I think I missed a bunch of comments. Sorry for my long speech there, guys. I went to school for law enforcement, so I just like to talk about a lot of this stuff here. Let's see here. Since you are from New York, do you remember the zero tolerance policy during the 90s from Rudy Giuliani, where even the slightest offense was met with harsh punishment? I don't actually know about that much. I don't know about that. I know who Rudy was, but I don't know about that that policy, though, what you're talking about. I guess we'll probably wrap up this stream here. Did a nice stream. I'll still answer a few questions before I go. If crime makes things better, why are these criminals still so poor?
See my face, amigo?
Gangs will.
I'm your goddamn boss.
The thing is, though, is that the bosses are oftentimes are rich. The gang members aren't. But here's the thing about this, is that think about it this way, like, if you guys want to know a perfect example of how poverty causes crime, I'll give you guys a perfect example. Let's say, for example, let's just say Mexico, for example. In a country like Mexico, you have some poor kid on the streets. And that poor kid on the streets has not much opportunity, doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. And let's say he starts working in a factory, for example. And he, this kid is working, 5-6 days a week. And I'm saying more, when I say kid, I'm maybe talking more 18, 19-year-old, but somebody who just got out of high school. But he's working, 6-7 days a week. And he's working in this factory. He's barely making enough money to put food on the table. And even when he does get his paycheck, he's still living in such poverty. And then what happens is one day he meets somebody from the cartel. And the guy from the cartel basically tells him, hey, if you move coke for me, he's like, you drive this from point A to point B, one simple drive, I'll pay you a few grand for that. And so then the kid starts thinking to himself, should I keep working in this factory for 5-6 days a week and not have enough money, and I could just do one drive and I'll make thousands of dollars. And so you see how that becomes tempting. Exactly like that. That's what causes crime. That's how poverty causes crime, is these kids have no opportunity, and they're living in such poverty, and then some scumbag sicario, like, you know, goes up to these kids and lures them in. And these kids, you know, they get, like, you know, if you look at, like, a game like Ghost Recon Wildlands, like, those cartel foot soldiers, you know, how much are those cartel foot soldiers making? They're probably making the same, they're not rich, but the cartel foot soldiers, they're probably making the same amount of money as, like, a doctor or a lawyer. So that's just for being, like, a soldier for the cartel. And so, you know, stuff like that is tempting. And I think one of the best, like, lines are in Max Payne 3, when Max says, like, why are there so many people in this gang? And, like, and Raul says, how many kids want nice sneakers? That's what he says. And what he means by that is that, you know, these kids are all living in poverty, and then they're going to get money easily that they can buy things like sneakers and other stuff by, you know, being in these gangs. So that's ultimately that. So that's the thing, is that's you know, it's people don't talk about the poverty, but the poverty is very important to dealing with crime, because if you help people get out of poverty, if people start, you know, making, you know, I'm not saying people have to be rich, but when people get out of poverty and they start, like, living better lives, they have their own car, they have a good job, they don't have to break their back going to work every day, and they still have plenty of money left over from their checks, there's going to be a lot less reason to turn to crime. But that's you know, my whole view on that. What was the reason that gangs were founded? Money. That's primarily the reason. Very few gangs are not founded for money. Almost all gangs are founded for money. Some gangs, ironically, have formed to protect their neighborhoods, but then they became the thing that they wanted to protect their neighborhoods from. Am I going to do 100% on GTA San Andreas? Yes, I will. One day I will, Matthew. Thank you for the super chat. Was the French Revolution beneficial for the freedoms that we enjoy today? Yes. I think the French Revolution helped with, like, you know, it helped spread democratic ideas throughout Europe. There was a lot of violence in the French Revolution with, like, some bad things that happened, but overall the French Revolution was, you know, I think it did more good than harm, because, like, you know, the people that were living in, like, royalist France under the monarchy had worse lives than they were living under the revolution. People had better lives when the revolution happened than they did under the monarchy. Hey, Pro, have you had long hair like your characters? It's supposed to be someone you made up. The thing about this, I like long hair in video games, but I hate long hair in real life, personally. I just can't have long hair in real life. That's just, personally for me. Kaiser, thank you for the super chat. Do I think money is the root of all evil? And thank you, Matthew, also. I think that money does definitely play a role in it, because it's something that people obsess over. But, like, for me, for example, guys, I'll tell you this, is I would be happy with just a few $1 million. That's it. Like, I don't need more than that. If I had, like, a few $1 million, I'd be very happy, and that'd be enough for me for, like, the rest of my life. But, like, you know, I don't need, like, $100 million and, like, stuff like that. I'm not saying for people to give me donations, by the way. It's not what I'm saying. But I'm just, like, giving it as, like, an example. Like, if I had a few $1 million, I'd be happy with that. That'd be enough for me. But, like, I don't need something like $100 million. I wouldn't even be able to spend that in my life, even if I wanted to. But, like, some of these people are so obsessed with money, and all they care about is just money, 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 and it becomes like a sickness. It's like a sickness in the head, like this obsession with money, just like constantly obsessing over money and money and money. And it's like these large corporations, especially like with that. Like, I'll tell you something. My mom's friend at work, her coworker friend, they are the greediest people ever. They're the cheapest people ever, and they are just obsessed with saving money. Do you know what they do? What my mom's coworker friend does? What she does is she hoards money, and her husband is the same thing. They've hoarded money for decades. For decades, they've hoarded money. And they have, like, somewhere over $1 million just in the bank, just saved. And they just hoard that money, and they don't even use the money at all. Like, nothing. Like, they don't touch the money at all. They just keep hoarding money. It's like, for what? What are you hoarding all that money for if you're not even going to use it at all? But it's an obsession with them. And they always try to find the cheapest things to do everything. Like, the cheapest things. I'm not saying that people should just waste their money, but they always try to go the cheapest route on every single possible thing. And even their daughter who, she was going to college, she had a job. So it wasn't that she wasn't doing anything. She had a job, but she asked her parents if they could also help her out financially, and they refused. So you save like that $1 million, and you won't even help your daughter out when they're you know, she's going to like college. So like that's like sometimes the money becomes like a sickness in the head. That's like what it becomes like, and people develop an obsession with it, and I think that, you know, it takes a toll on people. Thank you, JM, for the super chat. But yeah, like I said, I don't you know, I don't need hundreds of millions of dollars, but I don't know, like, people are so obsessed with money sometimes. But I guess I'll be going here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys, and have a wonderful day.